Coronavirus pandemic reveals Chinese Communist Party's true nature. Commentary by Ding Yi, Minghui.org. March 22, 2020. You disregarded the achievements of urban development since the military games. You are a sinner who disrupted the stability and unity of Wuhan, and you are the culprit who sabotaged the progress of Wuhan City, said leaders of Wuhan Central Hospital, when they reprimanded a female doctor, who sent information to her colleagues, upon discovering an unknown coronavirus in some patients. Under extreme pressure, Dr. Ai Fen went into silence. Dr. Ai's story is one of the many examples of how the Chinese Communist Party covered up information about the coronavirus epidemic that later broke out in Wuhan and quickly evolved into a pandemic. The epidemic and great leap forward. At the beginning of the Wuhan coronavirus outbreak, all the common sense established in the medical field was cast aside. It was acknowledged from the very beginning that the coronavirus is highly contagious with no effective cure. However, the CCP covered up the facts from the very beginning with lies and false information. On December 31, 2019, a top leader of China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CCDC, claimed that coronavirus was preventable and controllable. The same narrative was repeated by other health officials in Wuhan in January, even days before the city was locked down. Such remarks reminded people of the exaggerated lies and destructive policies of the CCP during the Great Leap Forward campaign in 1958. In the campaign, the CCP officials claimed that grain production had reached thousands of kilograms per acre and disaster relief offices were thus disbanded, because with so much grain for consumption, the relief office was no longer in need. Truth be told, many people, including CCP officials, came from farmlands and they knew exactly how much grain an acre of land could produce. However, under the totalitarian rule of the CCP, they went along with the lies against their conscience and common sense, and turned a blind eye to what was going on. As a result, tens of millions of people died from starvation in the Great Famine that soon followed in the same year. Politics in command. After the coronavirus epidemic broke out, the hospitals in Wuhan didn't adopt any special measures to isolate coronavirus patients from regular patients, which greatly increased everyone's potential exposure to the virus. Such poor management and lack of proper protective gear also caused thousands of medical staff to be infected, as well as suffering physical and mental exhaustion. For public health concerns as significant as the epidemic, all treatment methods and procedures are decided by the CCP officials, while opinions and advice from medical professionals are ignored. After decades of CCP rule, people have now grown used to the term putting politics in command. From the Cultural Revolution to the June 4 Tiananmen massacre, from the persecution of Falun Gong to the suppression of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, the CCP has always ruled by the party nature instead human nature. For them, maintaining stability is much more important than following the rule of law. At the same time, when the pandemic is yet to subside, the CCP has required factories and companies to resume work as soon as possible. If a business owner does not follow orders, he would face a huge fine. Meanwhile, an internal document from the CCP indicated that there was a limit for the number of confirmed cases to be reported in each area. Should the number exceed the limit, local officials in that area would be removed from their positions. Such low record is favorable for the CCP to deceive its people and the world, while encouraging more people to go back to work to rescue the collapsing economy. The true nature of the CCP. As pointed out in the book 9 Commentaries on the Communist Party published in 2004, the CCP grew by steadily accumulating wickedness and perfecting its 9 inherited traits, giving them Chinese characteristics: evil, deceit, incitement, unleashing the scum of society, espionage, robbery, fighting, elimination, and control. Such inherited traits have been evident in how the CCP handles the coronavirus epidemic. As discussed above, the CCP has been limiting distribution of testing kits as well as using other methods to strictly control confirmed infection cases and death cases around the country, in order to deceive people. When the international community accused the CCP of refusing investigation by experts from overseas, the CCP diplomats openly claimed that the U.S. military might have brought the coronavirus to Wuhan, and demanded that the U.S. disclose the facts. Meanwhile, the CCP mobilized its 50-cent army, internet censorship enforcers who are paid 50 cents per post, to spread rumors on the internet, in attempts to shift the blame. As numerous other countries face surging cases every day, the CCP reported 0 new local infections on March 18, for the first time in the last 2 months, and claimed that all new infection cases are imported from overseas countries. Many Chinese living abroad were misled by the CCP propaganda and believed that it is dangerous to stay overseas with the pandemic running rampant. They rushed back to China to seek protection, only to realize a different reality. Lessons from history told us that no promise of the CCP should be trusted, because they never honor what they promise. Those who continue believing in the CCP will pay a huge price. The CCP has always been on the path of anti-humanity. The world should be clear-headed and not become its pawn or have any illusions about it.